Hey guys, I'm back in Redwood City hanging out with Joe from Motostrano. Sweet, and you've got the perfect shirt on for today.
I'm liking this shirt. It's got texture to it.
Yeah, awesome, man. We got two Cube bikes. So we're looking at, wish me luck guys, the Cube Reaction Hybrid HPA. Didn't know what that stood for before, but I looked it up. High Performance Aluminum Pro Race 500. 500 is talking about that 500 watt Bosch Powerpack. And then we've got like the cousin or something over here. This is the Reaction Hybrid HPA Pro SL. So I don't know what SL stands for. The Race is just kind of a down-spec version. It's a little bit more colorful. You might notice that the battery is not integrated into the down tube the way it is on the SL. A couple other little minor things, like the disc brakes aren't quite as nice. They're still Shimano hydraulic, 180 millimeter, adjustable reach. These are 3-finger levers instead of 2. SLX shifter versus over here, I think we had XT, Deore XT. At least this still has Shadow Plus derailleur, so you can tighten that with the one-way clutch. So right now it's in the tight position, or take it down, and that's going to be a little bit looser and shift smoother because perhaps you're using this as a fun commuter bike, you know, weekend warrior style. We've got bosses here, so you can add a rear rack, make sure it's disc brake compatible. You could be riding this around town, cutting across gravel, little paths, but it's going to be efficient in part because it's a hardtail, first of all, 100 millimeter travel on this air fork up front, relatively lightweight, and we've got remote lockout, and then pop it out and it's going to lock or unlock, and that's a pretty neat feature, you know. And I like the colors on this one. It's fun. It comes in the same sizes, so it's like 16, 17, 18, like 21, 23. There's a lot of sizes on these. I've got all the specs back at the website, but you know, we were talking about the differences. Maybe from here you can see it. This one has 27.5 inch wheel diameter, right? And then this one has 29, and that's a 19 inch frame. This is a 16 inch frame. So both of these two bikes, they do the same thing for the smaller size frames. Actually, the first and third size, 16 and 18, they do 27.5. And then the 17, 19, 21, 23, they have 29ers, and that brings the whole bike up, lower attack angle, a little bit more rolling momentum. It's efficient, it's smooth, but it raises the whole bike. So if you're a taller rider, that can make sense. If you're someone who's a bit more petite, this could make sense. I've got the standover height on this one. It is a diamond frame, but you can see they've really sloped or angled that top tube, so the standover height's relatively low, but you still get the stiffness and the look of a mountain bike. They couldn't bring it too much lower because this Bosch Powerpack, let me try to do this for you. Got the keys right here. When you take it off, just insert the key over here, twist it. You have to pull up, and I'm going to try to do this carefully because I don't want to scratch the frame. Do you see that there's just really not a lot of clearance to do this? But once you do get it off, you've got a little handle. This is the 500, as I was saying, 36 volt, 13.4 amp hours. Pretty, you know, compact, high capacity. It's even backwards compatible with the older Powerpack 400 interface. So, you know, these batteries, they're some of the best out there. I like the size. I like the design on them. They're relatively easy to get back into place. I'm doing this one-handed, locked on, and we're good. I mean, well, actually, there we go. Listen for that click. That's happened a couple times. They want it to be snug so it doesn't rattle. You want to make sure it's clicked. Take the keys with you so they don't rattle. So coming back to that design, see how the battery is definitely on top of that down tube versus integrated. I mean, this is so clean, but it does create a little bit of a wider down tube. This bike weighs 48 pounds. That one weighs 46. So, you know, light, that's kind of nice. This one has the Bosch CX motor tipped up and really integrated into that down tube, seat tube, chain stays, whereas that one, it's just got like a big black shell on it. This is kind of the old-fashioned style, but it's the same motor. Just, you know, positioned a little bit differently, and they were able to squeeze on bottle cage bosses, whereas this one they were not, at least on the 16-inch frame. Perhaps they were on some of the other ones, but I don't know, I'm kind of questioning it, just the way that the battery's mounted. So that's going to save you a little bit of money, $37.99 versus $33.99, a little bit more value priced. 30.9 millimeter seat post on this, so you could swap it out with like a Thudbuster, a Body Float, Suntour NCX, and then you can get that full suspension feel if you want to. And I would consider it. I mean, I like to ride further, and with the Powerpack 500, you're going to get like 25 to 120 miles per charge. You can swap out these tires and get something a little bit more efficient, but I like the comfort and the knobs. These are the Schwalbe Tough Tom. They are 27.8 2.5 by 2.25. There we go, there it is. And a pretty good PSI range, 26 to 54. So you could drop that PSI and you can create a really comfortable ride. You're just sacrificing efficiency. Definitely something to think about. Also, the chain ring protector, kind of like a little mini bash guard, that's going to keep your pants or your skirt kind of, you know, clean and sloughing over that chain. But it's not quite as thick and sturdy as it was on the SL. That's another one of the minor differences as I've been studying these two bikes. They both look really beautiful. This one also has a plastic clear slap guard versus a rubberized full wrap. And actually it has a bottom slap guard too. Good on you, Cube. Wow, that's great, because sometimes you do get some upward bounce because of how small that sprocket is up there. I believe that's 15 tooth right there. It spins 2.5 revolutions for every single crank arm revolution. This is something that really only Bosch does. They're measuring your rear wheel speed, pedal cadence, and pedal torque 1,000 times per second. It's fast, it's fluid, it does create a bit more noise, and in some cases, if this gets really muddy, they can get a little bit of chain suck. So again, I'm glad that they put that sticker there. And then again, you've got the Shadow Plus. So if you're worried about that or you hear it banging around, click that into the up position. Bosch does offer shift detection, so when you're shifting gears, the motor tries to ease off a little bit. The controller's listening and creating some gaps so that it's not going to be stressing the chain, the sprockets, and the derailleur quite so much. Really just excellent the way that they set this whole thing up. Here's the cockpit again. Looks like just a really minimal, maybe that's 5 or 7 degrees, 80 millimeter length, 3 risers. So you could flip the stem, you can have it in the up position. There's a lot you can play around with on this bike to create a more aggressive or less aggressive feel. I'm gonna wheel this out a little bit here. Give you a look at the other side. There's those 180 millimeter hydraulic disc brakes, quick release front and rear, 9 millimeter skewers. Love that they've got double-walled alloy rims with reinforcement eyelets. 14 gauge spokes, gonna be a little bit more flexible. It's a good setup. You know, all around, balancing comfort with strength and reliability. You know, good internal cable routing. This is definitely a purpose-built bike, even though, you know, the battery is just a little bit more like slapped on. And I noticed, will you hold this real quick, Joe? You know, this is just the basic, like, tacked on type of look, and you've got the little rubber cap here versus the more customized integrated look. So they had to add a little rubber cover there, and they did a really good job of that. So, you know, I definitely want to, you know, you get more, but you're paying more with that one. If you like the fun colors and, you know, you want to pay a little bit less, this is a really good option. And I feel like they've translated, like, all the stuff that matters is still done really well here. Do you have any comments on this, Joe? I mean, you carry both models. Who buys which one? And
yeah, this bike is really kind of popular. Well, first of all, the size, you know, smaller, less tall riders. It could be a woman, it could be a youth, a teenager, or just somebody who's not super tall, who wants a mountain bike but doesn't necessarily need a full suspension mountain bike.
Yeah.
This has got really good components, front suspension, and lets them have a lot of fun on the trail without having the extra weight and the extra cost of a full suspension.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. And I think that it's really telling that you have the more expensive, sort of nicer one in an adult size, and then you've got the 16 in colorful, you know, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's very bright, flashy colors. It's going to look great on the trail.
It's fun. Yeah, I like it. Personally, I'm all about, like, fun colors and stuff. And the Bosch system, you can tap into that and wire in some lights. They have a larger display panel on some of the other bikes that has a little USB charging port. This one has it, but it actually doesn't send any power right now. Maybe in the future they'll update that. This is the Bosch Purion display. You can't remove it. Thankfully, the battery's removable. It's that 5.7 pounds. The wheels are removable. I'm thinking of when I was younger. You know, I'd go to friends' houses or I'd go mountain biking, toss my bike in my car. You can do that with this.
Yeah.
A lot of other electric bikes that are cheaper. You know, this is not cheap. You know, it's $33.99 for someone who's young. That's a lot of money, and that's the scenario I'm going with. Just go with it. Yeah. Go with it. So, you know, you're younger. Why would you pay more for this? Well, because it's going to last longer. I mean, you carry a ton of Bosch at your shop, right?
Definitely. I mean, we've been through a lot of different drive systems. We've, you know, been selling e-bikes for 5 or 6 years. We've chucked out a lot of brands that didn't hold up to, you know, trail-worthy vehicles, and this is a full-scale mountain bike that's got the same. You can beat it just as you can a non-electric bike and have fun, and it's should last you years and years.
Cube has a great warranty too. I think it's 2+ years comprehensive for all the drive systems and stuff, maybe even 5 on the frame.
Yes.
And you're one of the only Cube dealers in the United States right now. This is a German brand, correct?
Yep.
They've been in business for a long time. They're kind of like a Specialized or something in Europe.
They're huge in Europe. They're putting their toes in the water in the United States through us, and we sell them here locally in the Bay Area, and you can order them through our website.
That's right, Redwood City. That's right. So Motostrano, check it out, you guys. I've been working with Joe for a number of years. It's fun to come and see just so much variety. So coming back to this bike, like I was trying to communicate that you're really not sacrificing a lot when you come to something like this, and that money is definitely going towards a good setup. There's those rack bosses again. I would definitely be taking advantage of those. Just the way I ride. I can only, you spend money on a bike. I can only afford one bike. I don't have that much space.
Exactly.
You try to pick a bike that's going to last.
Yeah.
So anyway, back up to the Bosch Purion display panel. I'm going to press the power button here. It jumps to life very quickly, very responsive. This is monochrome, so it's sort of like a black and white. Speed up top, we've got a battery bar indicator down there, 5 ticks, those are 20% increments. But what's really cool is there's range, and that's the menu we're displaying right now. So if I plus, I go from no power to eco, that's the first level of assist, 1 of 4. It says 90 miles. This battery isn't even completely full. That's a lot. We arrow up to tour, it drops way down to 46 miles, but you definitely start to feel it. This motor is very peppy. It's rated between 250 and 600 watts, depending on how you're riding. That's peak around 600. So as we go up higher to sport, 34 miles, and then turbo, way down to 28 miles. But we're talking like you can climb up anything. The key is shifting. This is, as you shift gears, you're going to increase the speed, or you're going to empower that motor to climb better. And because of that shift detection, I think that's part of what makes this system last longer. But you still want to ease off. If you're new to this kind of riding, kind of ease off as you're shifting gears. Taking it back down to sport mode, there's a new update for software that allows sport mode to be the EMTB mode, which is really cool. Do you want to explain how that works?
EMTB mode is kind of like an automatic drive system, essentially. It allows you to control the power that you're going to get from the motor without using that keypad on the left hand. Basically, you just pedal up and spin the crank as you want, and the motor senses that and gives the power that you need. So it allows you to really focus on just manipulating the bike, using your gears, your brakes, and eye on the trail.
Yeah.
One less thing to do when you're riding.
Yeah, one less thing. It's kind of like everything mode. I think of it as like it gives you less power if you're not pedaling real hard, and then as soon as you start to climb a hill or you start pedal faster, it senses that primarily through torque, and it raises you all the way up to full power, and you didn't even have to click a thing. Those moments where you do have to click, at least the button pad's really close. This is faintly backlit. It's sort of a light blue. Some of the other secrets about this display panel are if you hold the minus button, it changes from the level of assist to the trip meter, to an odometer, and then to range that we saw earlier. So you hold that minus and it changes the different sort of stats. This isn't quite as comprehensive as that Intuvia display I was talking about earlier. It's a little bit bigger and easier to see. So if you're someone who's, that's a little small for you, or maybe you want the USB charger, shops like Joe's can upgrade that for you. Yep. And that's kind of neat that Bosch is modular that way. And then the other thing is if you hold minus and you tap that power button, it changes from kilometers per hour to miles per hour. So let's say you're learning the metric system or something, you can do it with this bike. I love that. And then there's walk mode down here. You press it and then you hold plus. Oh, it's gonna work on this one. Look at that. Whoa, yeah, there we go. So we are still talking about 46 pounds. This is relatively light for an electric bike, based on what I review. A lot of times these mountain bikes are 50 pounds. Yeah. But part of it's the smaller frame and stuff, and that walk mode is going to help you. In Europe, a lot of people have like cellars or whatever, and you have to get up that hill, and you have to push a 50-pound bike. That's what walk mode is for. Yeah. I think we're good, man. Do you wanna ride around with me? Can you start out on this one, and I'll get the third person?
Yeah, I can fit on this little bike.
Also, here's the charger. Apparently Bosch is sending out the smaller chargers now. They're 2 amps, especially maybe on some of the more affordable bikes. It's a little bit lighter weight, more compact. It's not quite as fast as the Powerpack original chargers, like 4 amps versus 2. I don't have a lot of experience with this, but I did want to show what that looks like. Very lightweight. It's like 1.2 pounds or something. Okay, there he goes. Yeah, very capable brakes. And you can hear them shifting through. You know, you still hear it. You're definitely putting extra power into that drivetrain, but these e-bike chains and having a higher spec, you know, Shimano Deore XT, that's like top of the line kit right there. So it's gonna hold up better under those stresses. Okay, here at the cockpit, seats all set up. Cube has these really tight seat tubes, so you know, you can see there's some scuffing happening there. We really had to push on that to get the seat just right for me, but it's 400 millimeters in length. Most seat posts are only like 350, so that's kind of a nice feature. If you get this bike for a youth that's growing, it can still fit them pretty well. Back to like adjusting that stem and some of the other parts, you can dial this in over the years as your body changes. Okay, I'll see you back there. Thanks, man. Okay, so here we go. I'm in turbo mode, and I'm not pushing real hard right now, and the motor's not really overdoing it. You know, it's very dynamic that way. I like how smooth it is. It's very intuitive, but when I do push, there we go, there's our max assisted speed, 20 miles per hour. Stopping pretty well, even just with one brake lever there. You know, all in all, I'm impressed. I think Cube does a really good job. They use high quality parts, their bikes look cool, and it's neat that they have such a wide selection so that it's not just color or size, but it's also how much you want to spend, how important the aesthetics of that down tube are to you. So I've recorded all the stats on this and the SL bike over there back at the website. I'll see you at ElectricBikeReview.com. Of course, please chime in if you have any feedback, maybe you own one of these bikes, or I don't know, just sound off. I'll see you there. Ride safe.